be reduced significantly. But I really would like to...
We're running about, in the month of July, we were running $50,000 payrolls every 2 weeks, so
$25,000. Well, it's, on a percentage basis, that's significant.
That's one of the reasons why.
But I think that information will also be particularly. And the only other thing that has nothing to do with this, but I said I would raise it this evening, as long as I'm talking, if it's okay with you, is there was a question, actually 2 residents asked about handicap parking and whether or not still the handicap parking seems to be less than, and I can't say with certainty, and that it's a particularly long walk to the North Beach, and something just, I'm not going to ask for an answer to that, but something to factor in as we look at next year.
Well, what we do now, first of all, we have more than enough handicap spaces.
Right, but less than last year, because there's
less than last year.
And this particular person, where the spots designated for Seaside, I think there were some handicap there that were taken away.
And when I see that his parking lot isn't being full,
put people there.
I put handicap in there. But we also use our golf carts to jockey them up if all they need to do is ask one of our security guys.
I'm going to call those 2 residents who approached me and say the fact that you can evaluate yourself, and I thank you for that.
Mayor Feinstein, I think that I like that you asked that question, but Fred, is that true that handicap parking spaces were taking away?
We had one whole segment of the parking lot when you first come in on the right. And then we had one whole wall, which I added last year because there's a good number of that people have handicap passes. Right. When we gave Seaside Johnny his parking there, we did away with that wall. Now that wall was extra, but I researched it as far as how many spaces we're supposed to provide for 900, and we're about 8 to 10 spaces more than we actually need. So if I see a handicapped person and they're full in those 2 areas, I'll bring them into Seaside Johnny's. That was another point that hasn't been addressed. Seaside Johnny's, in spite of the fact that we filled the park, his parking area has not been full. So in other words, his customers can come in, park in his area, and go into his restaurant. So in spite of the fact that even if the park is full, there's still spaces in his parking area that aren't full. So we're servicing his needs quite well. And when I see he's not using them, and anytime a handicap car comes to my attention or any of the people there, we find them spaces close by. We do the best we can.
Thank you.
And we jockey handicapped people left and right to wherever they want to go.
Well, these will all be the issues that we will once again look at as far as designation of spaces and pricing come September.
Right. Yeah. I had a few things. Are you finished?
Yeah, I'm done.
Did you have some? I had a few questions.
No.
I just wanted to mention one thing. I think you said something about the North Beach area. There are no parking spaces that are close or convenient to the North Beach area.
No, I realize that, but I realize that, but there could be at least something that somehow would be a little bit easier, more accessible.
Yeah. Tell them that. All they have to do is stop one of the security guys.
All right, I'm going to mention that because I think that's important.
When they come in to park, just tell the parking cashier, and they'll call.
They'll use the radio.
Yes, we do that all the time.
Part of the service.
So I think, consistent with the drop in volume, I like the idea of looking at expenses and dropping those as well. So even though we're high on the revenue, if there's less volume, you can look at the expenses. So I'd keep a sharp eye on that. A couple of follow-up meetings that I don't want to lose sight of. That I know this is a light meeting, but maybe in September, I think we definitely need a post-meeting with Seaside Johnny to talk about the parking and talk about his experience with the whole thing. I know the dog group has another check for us, Bishop. I don't know if you got that. They had raised more money?
I haven't seen it, no.
Okay.
That's worked out very well. The dog group worked out very well.
Yeah, right. But they have another check for us. The capital planning, in the City of Rye, we're going through our capital budget. So, Bishop, I asked that you Joe Carvin, Scott Pickup, and I sit down and talk about our capital planning process to incorporate some of the things that we would like to do in the park. if in fact the City of Rye is going to help fund some of that. I know at the beginning of the season, one of the reasons why we went around the duck pond for traffic was because there was not enough space to go through the left-hand side. Well, come the fall, that'd be the best time if we want to do that, to widen that area, if in fact we do ultimately want to have traffic, to your idea, stay on that side of the duck pond, not loop through the pedestrian common area. So those are the types of things I don't want to lose sight that we don't plan for, and the next season is upon us. We also created a Playland Strategic Planning Committee that's going to generate ideas and submit those to the county. Rye Town Park should know that that's a process that, we have this great waterfront. There may be some synergies in that planning process that we want to tie into as well. So,
Bishop came up with a couple of good ideas.
Okay.
Which are yet to be exposed.
Okay. Well, he always has good ideas.
Well, that's the wrong word, to be
Divulge.
public.
Divulge.
We had a parking committee that did a lot of pre-analysis. I'd like to have them do some post-analysis, and so maybe that committee should reconvene in September and then do a debrief with the representatives of that committee and go through the analysis and then present it back to the full commission.
Our intention is to provide the raw data that we provided last year.
Okay.
We would provide the same data to the parking committee.
Okay.
And more precise, because we had something to work against, last year's numbers, whereas the year before weren't that accurate.
And then last is the RFP process on the building. Where does that stand, Bill? I know we were going to shoot for September.
Well, I've been talking with Lisa Easton
Right.
about it, and we haven't gotten too far yet, but we just spoke about it last week. So I got a couple different formats for a RFP. One would be to actually to hire a realtor who would go out and look for potential users. The other would be to go directly to the users. So I see advantages of either one. But the other concern, I think, is making sure that the neighborhood, or I guess the city of Rye in general, is aware of the process and has a chance to express their thoughts as to what would be compatible uses for the park.
Yeah, that's why I raised it. I just want to make sure we don't go out for an RFP without the city planner and the planning commission or somebody providing comment on some of those parameters.
I think the question would be, how would you do that? Would it be like a meeting, or would it be an informal thing?
Possibly. Yeah,
I'd like to suggest that, first we need a draft document.
Correct.
And that's you and Lisa and I can put together a draft document. Once we have that, then we can have our meeting and we'll have something to talk about.
I think it'd be a two-step. I think first would be the city planner to get his take, and then I think it would be some kind of public discussion.
Back in 2002, when they had applied for the various grants, they came up, and this was Lisa Easton prepared this document, which is only a few pages long, which has compatible uses, and she has three types. There's the educational, sort of non-profit, and for-profit, I think, it's sort of three, and she has examples of each. But I haven't seen the document.
Well, we're producing that document.
You have a copy of it somewhere.
Lisa Easton and I are meeting on Thursday, and at that particular point, we're going to start going through the capital planning process. That will get me the document that I owe you guys, which is the compatible use document.
And then just finally, I'd like to rotate the meetings that we have. Since you know, Bishop,
Yep.
one in the city of Rye. It doesn't have to be every other meeting, but at least one in the fall, preferably September, if not the October meeting, so that the residents of Rye can more easily come to a meeting like that, and we could do it in City Hall.
I would suggest perhaps the October meeting might be the better of the two. We would have a much clearer picture of the data. We would have finished the season, and things would be kind of out of the way and a little bit quieter in terms of park operations.
But we have to be sensitive to the fact that usually the meetings in October, you have a Rye Town meeting afterwards, so you have to make sure that it ends so that you...
So you guys can make it
get
back here.
back
Yeah,
there.
I think the most important
Unless
thing
we do
is...
a different day for them.
Just do a different night.
Yeah.